In this tutorial, we'll be looking at beam supports. So what we're doing is putting in these three beams. We see that the beam here sits on top of the 4 posts and supports the veranda. Let's go to the ground level, select gallery level, and we're on our roof. We have to go into the section view again. We have to record 3 heights for our 3 support beams. Let's turn off the mesh, and it's on layer mesh site. So we just go Control L and mesh site, turn that off, and then it won't be a problem. Later on, we're going to turn off the roof so we can see just the rafters and the walls. Let's go into our section view, and we need to record 3 measurements. Now we need the support beams to sit in the center of each wall. So we've got one wall, the other exterior wall, and the 4 posts. Best way to do this is use guidelines. Let's bring in some guidelines and attach them to the outside of the 2 walls and the outside of the post. We need to get a center line. If I zoom in a little, just grab the orange dot, and as it goes in, the thickness of our wall, exterior wall, is 250. So we need halfway, which is 125. Enter. There's our center point. Now this one, we'll move this one in 125. There it is. 125. Enter. And the posts are 200, so we need to move this one in 100. Now they're in the center. We've got our ground zero. And just to make things easier, I'll put a guideline on ground zero. Just snap it to ground zero, and it's in place. So now it's easy to take the 3 measurements that we need. You'll need to record these measurements because we need to do some calculations and write them in. We want to go from the bottom of the roof, which is here. Just zoom in. We need to go from the bottom of the roof. Here we see the bottom of our rafter, and this dark line here is the bottom of our roof. We're going to turn that off in a sec. Okay. Let's grab the measure tool. Go right in the center there and bring our line down. Now notice at the bottom you'll see an eye appear. Once that eye appears, you record that measurement. So it's 5848. Write down 5848. You can click it. All right, that's been recorded. Just hit the marker again. And we're going to come down and measure this wall here. We're going to put the second beam on. So hit the measure tool. I'll zoom in a bit. Now right in the center there. And as we come down to the bottom guideline, which is the 0 point, the eye will show. And that eye detects those lines, and it's 3979. So you need to record what the measurement is. Click the tracker again. And the last one here with the posts. Let's go from hit the measure from that rafter right down to the 0 line. Ground zero is 3294. And we can turn the tracker off. Now once we've recorded those, we need to do a calculation. Now we see on here where this beam sits into the rafter, the height is right up here. So we need to do a calculation to get that edge on the edge of the rafter. And that calculation comes out at a minus 100. Already done that calculation. So we just need to minus 100 off each of the heights. And that should give our beam the correct position. So let's go back into the 2D view now. And let's turn off the roof. So if I select the roof, it tells me that the layer is on Roof General. So if we hit Control L, go into the layers, and come down and go to Roof General. There it is, and click the eye. It will turn the roof off, and which exposes the walls that we need and the rafters and the posts. You can see the outline of our building and our walls. We need to put some reference lines on here to give us the center point. Here we see some guidelines we already have in place. If you don't have any guidelines in place, then you need to put some on the edge of the outside of the rafter, one there, and one here. We also need to put guidelines in the center of each of the walls, which will give us the center point of where the support beam will go through from the edge of one rafter to the edge of the other rafter. So we need a support beam on this wall, on this external wall, and on our 4 posts. Let's bring in the reference, the guidelines. Snap them to the side. Grab a guideline and snap it to the outside. Now we already have a guideline for the center of the posts, which we placed in previously. If you deleted that guideline, then just put another one in. It needs to come in 100. We know that our walls are 250 millimeters thick, so the center of our wall will be 125. So grab the orange dot, drag it in and type in 125, enter. And down the bottom here, our line, drag in and type in 125, enter. Now we have our guidelines in place in the center of the walls. We can insert the support beams. We've already adjusted properties for the rafters. We're going to use those same properties. So let's grab the eyedropper, click on one of the rafters and select it, which opens up the beam tool, and let's adjust the beam settings. Now some of the settings are similar, same size. The only thing we're going to change is the inclination. It's a horizontal. The beam is horizontal. The other thing is there's no offset. We want the line in the center of the beam to be the center of the guideline. So press 0 there. So there's no offset. It's going to be exactly in the center. The only thing we need to adjust is the height. The first height that we took was 5848. So if we minus 100 off that, it's 5745. So once I've placed that in, everything's good. The other thing I'm going to do is, because I want the same timber as my roof, I'm going to override all these surfaces. And just in this one, I'm going to select timber, pine, horizontal. I'm going to link them all the same, and I'm going to make my timbers pine. Then click OK. And now when I come into the center line, click, drag my beam right through to the outside of the other rafter. Now that's done, we can open up the settings again for the next beam. The next beam was 3979, minus 100 is 3879. 3879, which is the height that I took from the section view. Now that that's right, I'm going to leave everything the same, press OK. And now I'm going to place in a second beam right through to the outside of the other rafter. You'll see the eye will appear. Click. And now I'm going to just zoom up for the 4 posts. Now the 4 post setting, let's go into the settings dialog again. And we need to change the height once more. That height is 3294, minus 100 is 3194. And we'll go OK. From the outside of the rafter, across the 4 posts to the outside of the other rafter, and click. Now let's go into 3D and have a look. Okay, let's have a bit of a check. Okay, the main thing is that the top of my rafter here, there's no gap and it's not sitting up. So the edge of the rafter is sitting on the edge of the beam, support beam, and it's in place. Notice that it's sitting in the center of the wall. That's looking good there. Okay, the only thing we will adjust is the height of these posts. Notice that the posts go up into the timber. Now I need to select the node at the top so the pet palette comes up. And in the pet palette we're going to choose the stretch height. And when we come down, if we come out to the corner, the height will come down exactly in line with the beam. Let's move that around so we can get to it a bit better. So let's select the arrow, select the post again. On the node, pet palette stretch height is selected. If I come down here to the corner of the beam, it will adjust my height to that surface. And let's go and do these other two down here. Again, I'll select this one, stretch height, and come down to the edge corner of the beam. That adjusts. And this one the same. Pet palette, stretch height, just onto the undersurface. If you hit the corner of the support beam, the post will come down to that edge. And now my posts are adjusted and the support beam is sitting on top of the posts, which is supporting the rafters. So now the beams are in place. Go back into the 2D view. Now let's turn our roof back on. So Control L. And go to Roof General, turn the eye on, okay. Now we've got our roof on. Let's have a look in 3D. There we go. Now we can go on to putting some windows in, and we've got a terrace slab here, handrails, doors, but the outside structure was pretty well done.